Garou, a vigilante hero hunter with absurd combat skills and a desire to become the strongest and change the world with fear. Cell, a literal perfect warrior that has data on the world's greatest martial artists programmed into him. Who would win if these two top-tier martial artists were to fight one another? Well, since this matchup is a bit complicated, I have someone with me here today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, it's Professor Fiction. Yes, Al asked me to come on to help him with this video because Garou is just such a goat. He couldn't scale them all on his own. If you guys want some more One Punch Man content, mainly stuff comparing the characters in the universe, maybe you can go check out my channel. And if you like the Dragon Ball content you see on here, maybe subscribe over to Cell. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Anytime, Prof, but like Prof said, he will be covering scaling for Garou while I will be covering scaling for Cell. So without further ado, let's get into it and figure out which top tier martial artist will come out on top, Garou or Cell. Starting off with Cell, since my channel's name is MrPerfectCell, we can begin by taking a look at Cell's strength. Even Cell in his initial imperfect state is labeled as someone who's even more powerful than Frieza, someone who can destroy entire planets with just a finger. There have even been some calcs of Frieza destroying planet Namek and planet Vegeta, putting him at large star levels of power, with Imperfect Cell far eclipsing Frieza. Cell then ends up absorbing both androids 17, 18, and grows many times stronger to the point where he boasts that he has enough power to destroy the entire solar system. A lot of downplayers like to state that this statement could be hyperbolic, but this claim is backed up by pretty much every single guide in existence, so I think that argument is a little bit disingenuous. Now, while a normie might just end it here by saying Cell is a solar system buster, this feat is actually a lot more impressive once you look a little bit deeper. Daizenshuu 7 has an entire section dedicated to describing numerous locations in Dragon Ball, and in the description for the universe, it states that the solar system is a galactic nebula that has innumerable stars within it, which would obviously put Cell's feat more into the multi-solar system level range, rather than just baseline solar system level. Some people have even go as far as to calc Cell's solar system busting feat with this in mind, and the results usually range between 10 to the 62 and 10 to the 65 joules of energy, which is multi-solar system level. Now we can finally move on to speed, which may actually be Cell's biggest attribute in this fight. Even Goku, when he fought King Piccolo, has been shown reacting to and dodging Piccolo's attacks, which are stated to be light-based in El Manga Legendario. Going by power levels, Super Saiyan Goku at a power level of 150 million is around 570,000 times faster and stronger than Goku when he fought Demon King Piccolo, as an increase in battle power correlates to an increase in both speed and strength. Someone like pre-Kami Fusion Piccolo in the Android Saga should scale to this, as he is stomping guys like Android 20, who is even more powerful than Namek Super Saiyan Goku according to the back cover of one of the volumes. Piccolo then gets around 5 times stronger, as El Manga Legendario describes Piccolo fusing with Nail as a 5 times boost, with the hypothetical fusion with Kami being hyped up as a greater fusion, so it should have the same increase, if not more. This means that Piccolo post-fusing with Kami is at least 2.85 million times stronger and faster than Lightspeed Demon King Piccolo Art Goku. Considering that Super Perfect Cell is likely thousands of times stronger than that Piccolo, as he most likely scales above Mastered Super Saiyan Goten, who is 1,000 times weaker than his base form, which can fight equally with Android 18, someone who is comparable to this Piccolo. This ends up putting Super Perfect Cell in the billions of times FTL range quite easily. Now, if you have an issue with this way of scaling or just want a more simplified way to scale Cell's speed, then there are calcs putting Vegeta's Final Flash at around 4.9 million times the speed of light, with Perfect Cell reacting to this while off guard and heavily suppressed. You could also potentially use the anime-only feat of Base Goku and Pikkon traveling from Grand Kai's planet to Hell, which has been calculated to be quadrillions of times the speed of light, with Super Perfect Cell still being above Goku at this time. With Cell's physical stats out of the way, we can finally discuss Cell's fighting style and techniques. Anyone who's read Dragon Ball already knows about how Cell possesses all of Z Fighter's techniques due to having their cells, giving him access to the Kamehameha, Gallic Gun, Special Beam Cannon, Destructo Disc, Death Beam, Solar Flare, Saiyan Adaptation, and most importantly, Piccolo's Regeneration. Now, from a range standpoint, Cell obviously has a lot to offer, but what about just straight hand-to-hand combat? Well, in original Dragon Ball, Grandpa Gohan is someone who is hyped up as being unrivaled in every single martial arts style, with Roshi having similar hype up as being the god of martial arts, which is a lot more impressive than it seems, as in Dragon Ball, even random tournament fighters have 30th degree black belts in Kenpao, while in real life the highest level is a 10th degree black belt. And Kid Goku more than likely scales to Roshi and Grandpa Gohan in terms of skill, as he can combat those two directly, or fight people like Tien who have also fought those guys, with Cell going blow for blow with a more experienced and skilled Goku. So I think it's safe to say that Cell is an absurdly broken character in pretty much every single aspect. And I will now hand things over to Prof so he can break down Garou.
Garou is a character with a lot of progression, so much so many people consider him a pseudo-protagonist of One Punch Man. In his earliest outings, he was capable of easily defeating the S-Class Hero Tank Top Master, a hero compared to mid-series Genos, whereas early series Genos can easily blow away entire mountains, and later chops a moon-sized centipede in half and suplexes the entire planet so hard it made Atlantis emerge from the ocean. However, we're talking about Dragon Ball scaling, and as Cell explained, blowing up some continents won't be enough to take on the strongest android. Near the end of his arc, Garou gets a huge power-up from a being known as God, and becomes endowed with knowledge of all things in the universe and how to manipulate them. Upon his introduction, he was stated to have gained a power to shake the entire universe. This feat on some Fusion Reborn Goku energy has been calculated consistently as 10 to the 65 joules of energy, which is very high multi-solar system level. Shortly thereafter, Garou copies Saitama's full power, co-parter fanboys, and the two of them clash serious punches that blow away countless stars out of the sky, as well as the recoil of all this energy being concentrated and focused onto their bodies. Now, I've heard a lot of stuff about how they just erased the light particles, or how these quintillions of tons worth of mass just moved in an instant. Whatever weird explanation you come up with, we will be using the higher end interpretation of this feat because, I don't know, we're not contrarians. This feat, which Saitama and Garou surpass many times over, has been calculated up to 10 to the 64 joules of energy, which is high multi-solar system level, consistent with the aforementioned shaking the universe feat. Speed is way harder to figure out due to a myriad of different calculations and methods of finding out how fast Saitama is here. Methods of calculating this range from a time frame of no more than 0.0013 seconds to considering the shockwaves Saitama makes as flashes of light, which leads to results ranging from 600 times to around 18 billion times the speed of light. Skill-wise, Garou is defined by skill. Having surpassed his former master in many ways, someone who transcends mastery entirely. He's able to bring no less than 11 martial arts styles to bear at the same time. These styles give him access to power nullification and redirection, pressure point and joint attacks, long-range wind blasts, shockwave generation, and much, much more. After achieving his cosmic power-up, his list of abilities extends to nuclear blasts, black holes, casually shitting out gamma ray bursts, a toxic cosmic radiation, and most impressively, the ability to copy anything he has seen, from abilities to your raw strength and speed, to a perfect copy.
So, strength-wise, Garou and Cell are basically evenly matched. No matter what way you slice it, Cell is capable of destroying a structure with innumerable stars, while Garou has actually destroyed innumerable stars. Even calcs for these two feats both come out to around 10 to the 65 joules of energy. So yeah, in terms of power, they are evenly matched. However, speed is a different story.
Garou's speed compared to Cell's is extremely inconsistent, and this is simply due to the multiple ends you can scale Saitama's IO feat to. Generally speaking, Garou's most highballed and extremely generous speed calculations reach the billions of times faster than light range, and most people have issues with these methods. Compare that to Cell, who is reaching multiple billions of times the speed of light without even getting into his higher levels of speed scaling.
Just to get this out of the way, Cell massively outranges Garou with his numerous key attacks. Even in close quarters, Cell may actually be superior to Garou with the Grandpa Gohan scaling I outlined earlier. And all of this is ignoring the very obvious problem of Cell's regeneration and how Garou would even bypass that. Although I will note that Garou's Water Stream and Iron Cutting Fists would give Cell some trouble and potentially give himself the victory.
There are a few win cons we can go over for Garou. Like Cell explained, Garou and Cell should have rivaling hand-to-hand, although I would argue Garou probably has more sheer versatility. If you think about it, for the most part, martial arts in Dragon Ball aren't really extrapolated upon, and tend to be in the realm of basic striking. Don't get me wrong, it is striking on a superhuman and expert level, but each of Garou's styles brings something new to the table. He can create razor-sharp gusts of air, he can inject his opponent with body-destroying shockwaves, he can completely ignore their external defenses. Arguably his most valuable tool is the Water Stream Rock Smashing Fist, which Garou uses to redirect attacks back at his opponent. Basically, if Cell shot a Kamehameha at Garou, he would be able to catch it and throw it back at him at over twice the force. While this could give Garou a temporary edge, Cell is also incredibly versatile, but more so in his key techniques. As good as Garou is in close range, Cell would be able to bombard Garou with a variety of key-based attacks. He also has both Goku and Frieza's super adapting genes, specifically Goku, who learns new styles on the fly and extremely quickly. It's not unreasonable to say he'd be able to adapt to Garou in hand-to-hand. Although Garou could just do the same, they just adapt to each other infinitely, with Cell likely maintaining the edge in other categories, so it would just be worse for Garou. Even if Garou did deflect a Kamehameha back at Cell, we know Cell has regenerated from similar circumstances, and Garou wouldn't have the intuition or knowledge to hit Cell's nucleus or destroy his whole body in one attack. The only other thing we could think of is Garou's cosmic radiation. In that case, Cell literally just flies in space with no regard for the UV rays of the sun. As to many other characters which Cell does have all the genes from, another thing to consider is radiation attacks on an atomic or cellular level, and Dragon Ball characters by at least the Frieza saga do have atomic level defenses. This is because Trunks is able to blow away Frieza to atoms, which obviously means key functions on an atomic level. And if characters aren't getting atomized by each other's attacks, that clearly means they can defend themselves on an atomic level as well.
And if you're wondering why we didn't equalize energies, then it would just result in Garou using a mode Cell, giving him strength, speed, durability, and abilities on par with Cell, which would either result in a stalemate or Cell winning due to his regeneration. Also, it would just be a very boring video. While I do not think this fight will be one-sided by any means, Cell's speed, techniques, skill, and regeneration are a little too much for the Vigilante Hero Hunter to handle. The winner is Cell. Like always, if y'all want to see more Dragon Ball content from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button down there. And maybe also take a peek at Prof's channel, as he also makes some pretty fire content, with me and him also doing a collab on his channel, so keep an eye out for that. But with all that aside, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!